inbound.
The spikes use a corrosive chemical and a physical component to dissolve and push through concrete.
Those spikes look like branches on the tree. Is he trying to imitate one? We found many parasite structures that integrate human forms, but there is no human tissue inside.
Blinding spores are a combination of different types of spores, each containing a unique toxin.
My sister and I were kids. Shall we said her creativity came from our mother. We think some guests were trapped in here before the evacuation, but we didn't find remains.
By shattering the glass inwards, React reduces the threat of falling glass injuries on the ground.
Police reports say there was a shooting here just before the outbreak. We're investigating to see if it's related.
This building was built around the same time as the statue. I bet it shares some structural materials.
Trees are a natural purifier, and this airlock was designed to help it thrive.
We think the carapace is linked to the power system here, but it's not drawing any power.
If you go MIA, stasis foam coats your body in a hard, impenetrable shell, giving React.
Standard NBC hazard suits provide adequate contamination resistance, but are not as robust as operator PPE.
We aren't sure if this nice carapace skin is caused by maturation or...
I'm told it took a force equivalent to a 1.5 kiloton explosion to rip the head off. It's like a small nuke.
I'm looking at this model and trying to see a pattern in the parasite's attack. It's either random.
React provides secure sanitary facilities so researchers maximize time spent in the hot zone.
The carapace isn't dissolving the statue so much as absorbing it. No one understands how.
The museum was about to open an exhibit. NYC, Liberty's Safe Harbor. Pretty ironic.
We averted disaster thanks to this crane truck preventing that pillar from falling. It's also a reminder.
At the start, spikes grew at a rate of 200 square feet per minute. Now they're just...
I bet the people coming over looking for hope in a new land never expected any of this to happen.
One of the comms officers told me Lady Liberty souvenirs are worth a fortune now. Seems pretty ghoulish to me.
Some survivors hid out in the freezer during the outbreak. We got to them just before the Archies showed up.
React scientists can use airlock labs like this one to acquire key data. Most of them leave as quickly as they came in.
Nests are like DNA library.
The Smasher has biochemistry similar to some coral polyps, creating its form.
During containment, we send engineers in to brace structures weakened by the spikes.
That's a lot of files. However, the entire police archive is only a fraction compared to the size. Many React ground vehicles have Cameleo paint that can disguise them as civilian vehicles.
Reports say that car was actually moving when it was impaled. Driver didn't get out in time. City Hall was sure crime would rise during this crisis, but New Yorkers have really pulled together.
React has police reports of the K-9 unit barking incessantly before the parasite broke ground to cause havoc. This very type sample receptacle can preserve tissue, mineral, and... The lurker controls its own chromatophores and that of others. The specialized skin cells can...
I'm told these aberrant nests make proteins and enzymes for the neoplasms. They're just nasty to me.
CLX-24 air filtration pumps are standard in our airlocks. The CDC also uses...
People tried to block the spread of the parasite as best they could. Unfortunately, some ended up boxing themselves in.
Life here was hard on some people, but it still had a vibrant way of life.
We see thick carapace growth around singularities, but don't know if they're part of the phenomenon or simply attracted to it.
Standard issue react chemical lights luminesce in the visible, infrared, and ultraviolet spectrums.
We have collected parasite samples from various objects and locations, but we are still analyzing where they originated.
Man, I wish we were dealing with little gray aliens. The parasite is worse than any fictional alien we dreamed up.
The SOAR can plant organic mines similar in function to stun grenades.
We're running that experiment in several airlocks. It should tell us how the parasite affects plant germination. We're exposing samples to different gas mixes. Maybe we'll learn where it comes from or what kills it. Every operator that goes MIA ends up in one of these structures. But so far, it can't get through these stasis.
The use of ultra-tough, cut, burn, and chemical-resistant membranes are integral to React containment strategy.
Besides NASA and the ESO, React has several corporate partners who donate next-gen tech, like this DNA sequencer.
Several exotic materials were used to construct that rocket. One of them must have attracted the parasite.
They were building a probe to land a robot on the moon when the parasite attacked. I hope that's coincidence.
SFPD SWAT responded when the company called for help. But all their special weapons and training didn't help.
React makes efforts to be carbon neutral and energy independent. There are many ways of saving the world. The catalyst emitter stimulates the bacteria present in parasite artifacts to produce synaptic discharges.
of some major gravitational fluctuation coming from that structure.
In all the hot zones, we find evidence of firefights and casualties, but hardly any remains. It's downright creepy.
This company was trying to land a robot probe on the dark side of the moon to search for water. That satellite was scheduled to go up with next-gen ground-penetrating sensors. We sure could use it now.
These guys are trying to start a new age of space exploration. Seems like they didn't have to look far.
All equipment React analysts and operators might need is pre-staged on-site and biometrically locked cases.
These structures seem to refine and manufacture parasite.
To protect rescued personnel, the extraction pod has a full medical suite and is armored like a tank.
Something inside these neoplasms is either precious or fragile, hence the...
All emergency departments were deployed, but this was something beyond anything they've seen before. They didn't stand a chance.
It looks pretty calm out there. That's because we evacuated a 6-block radius around the hot zone.
It looks like there was some unsavory stuff going on here. But since the infestation, none of that matters. It doesn't appear that exposure to the parasite affects plant life as negatively as contact with human skin.
This terrace was packed when the Archeans showed up. Evacuating must have been a nightmare.
Oh, be careful with that. It contains a high explosive caustic payload, which utterly destroys parasite structures.
The scientists abandoned these plant specimens to escape the Archeans. Hopefully some samples are still viable.
The server room aboard the Pioneer is significantly larger. This is evident from the amount of data React must process. Many airlocks are stocked with temperature-resistant gear rated to 4,000 degrees Celsius. The capture net stuns Archean subjects within 0.03 seconds, and
We didn't get to that scientist quickly enough. This is the price of our mission. And failure.
Biofilm is much more than slimy goo. It moves, grows, and reacts to
React can fit negative air pressure systems that minimize toxin transmission to almost any structure.
This aberration is inert and fossilized. Maybe it originated from the meteor that was discovered here.
This whole place used to be a spiritual retreat before Orpheus took it over to support their lab in the silo.
The Spiker's ballistic spikes are razor sharp and can be flung at velocities similar to high-caliber sniper bullets.
aren't the only things this farm produced. That's a moonshine still. This landscape looks so serene. Too bad Orpheus showed up and ruined it with their experiments.
They think that spike's large size is due to the farm's nutrient-rich soil. Or maybe it has something special in it.
React body armor utilizes non-Newtonian fluid that is light and flexible, but hardens under impact.
What's a Cold War bunker without an abandoned train tunnel? GPS says it heads off towards the Orpheus research station.
This silo is an ideal place to study cosmic rays. It's isolated and shielded against outside radiation. That's a cutting-edge tachyon detector, which is pretty strange to find in a Cold War missile silo.
React blades combine monomolecular sharpness with a self-sterilizing biopsy needle for easy sample collection.
In this experiment, we want to see if the parasite causes identical mutations in cloned plants.
We put airlocks wherever the best site is. Even an old-timey cooperage.
This is aimed at the moon's dark phase transit. Someone was trying to see the moon's dark side.
These clever auto-trackers position themselves inside parasite nests. We get great data, and you don't get messy. Apparently, this thing syncs different frequencies depending on the phase of the
They had people stationed up here for 5, 6 months. They would need all the entertainment they could get. Tracked vehicles are the only way to get around when winter hits. And if it's bad, even they get stuck.
Orpheus is a huge tech company with interests in biotech, quantum computers, and high-speed satellite internet.
In Greek myth, Orpheus was the son of a muse and had magical musical abilities.
Those ceiling aberrations are ultra dense and heavy, and we have no idea how much they are.
Now, records say that meteor was dug up in Antarctica, and the parasite isn't all over it. Interesting. You can get down to minus 60 degrees Celsius up here. You gotta dress warm to go outside.
Since their mainframe crashed, we can only roughly determine what they were looking at. The Oort cloud past Pluto.
The router's underground root claws function as both a defense and to collect raw materials from the...
To slow the spread of the Archeans, we install secure reactors throughout every hot zone.
The hot zone presents a unique infection risk. Injuries must be cleaned and dressed immediately.
Replacement and additional construction supplies are positioned in at least one location inside the hot zone.
The flight plan says they were trying to escape the Orpheus site. Imagine the parasite going active at 25,000 feet.
We know that the parasite is attracted to some minerals and metals, but apparently gold is not one of them.
Even though we can predict the parasite's dormant cycle 85% of the time, it's not good enough. Ask those two scientists.
This purification plant uses lasers to vaporize water under high pressure, filtering all impurities down to the subatomic level.
We've managed to implant sensors in all these bizarre structures. The ones we found, at least.
Apparently, the ocean is no impediment to the parasite. We've got to assume it's... These military tents served as temporary labs until React finished building the airlocks.
Sometimes newer doesn't mean better. Those levers are over 100 years old, and I bet still work.
I'm told this old thing still works. Talk about robust engineering.
The grun's the most common Archean unit, possibly because
This device injects high-pressure stasis foam into the parasite substructure, blocking nutrient channels. They're testing to see if dialysis can clean parasite off.
3D spatial algorithms help React Logistics pack all necessary equipment with 36% less wasted space.
At first we tried modifying spacecraft airlocks, but it turns out submarine locks are stronger.
React uses ultraband microwave repeaters to maintain contact with operators at all times.
I'm in awe of what those old-timers accomplished without any of our high-tech and advanced equipment.
Some redneck with a rifle thought he could make the pilot fly him out. It didn't work out that way. These heavy steel gates probably did little to stop the parasite, but hopefully they slowed it enough for people to get to... You can head to the next sub... Void, or at least what was left of them, was contained in there. It looks like the parasite totally absorbed it.
Level 5 containment seemed like it would be enough. We never expected the parasite to come out of the ground.
This bioreactor can withstand extremes of heat and pressure without leakage. It is secure even now.
We're exposing the carapace to high pressure, but nothing seems to bother El Parásito.
The Apex is the only Archean modal that can spawn other Archean units. The reason...
Even in a secret lab, set up under a containment zone, there's no escaping security checkpoints.
This barrier reinforcement utilizes phase state metamaterials that resist both high shear and crush force.
vet center custodian won't need any of his tools anytime soon. Archie's taking care. Lots of people try to ram their way out of a containment zone. It almost never works.
There are many factors that affect carapace size and shape. However, I don't think access to alcohol is one of them.
With all the crazy conspiracy theories out there, no one predicted the parasite.
The parasite generates a field that jams all weak signals, rendering some comms useless.
Look up. See the point where the spikes merge? That's where Boyd's car is.
All these Arkeans crawling around give new meaning to Roach Motel. Carapace is so tough, almost nothing even dents it. You go into the ring with Carapace, the Carapace wins.
During the outbreak event, almost all inhabitants inside the city limits were infected. Over 6,000 people perished.
Parasite activity patterns seem dense around these arc spines. We're still analyzing if it's another parasite mutation.
Even in the most severe hot zone, REACT cares about the environment. Please recycle whenever safe or possible.
These next-gen recon drones are great. Easier to drive, and the resolution is better.
The seismic station not only detects ultra-low frequencies, but can triangulate and cancel seismic.
Look at all the carapace. That's what years of growth at Ground Zero gets you.
This compression method is similar to how data clusters are processed aboard the Pioneer.
This is where an auto mechanic named Boyd brought the wrecked Soviet space capsule he found in the desert. Boyd underwent the first stages of parasite transformation right here. He was already past saving by then. Some patients were evacuated quickly, but it came at a high cost for others.
Sensors inside the capsule still send valuable data to REACT analysts. This automated air processing unit can decontaminate 2,000 cubic tons of atmosphere a day.
These high-voltage little monsters stun Arkeans for a brief period. Lightning in a bottle.
This well dates back to the 1600s. The rest of the Hacienda is relatively new, about only 150 years old.
The lab guys say the wine should be okay since it's sealed airtight, but you won't catch me risking it.
The Tormentor can quickly travel both through the sprawl and a normal soil matrix.
Stun grenades emit a pulse of energy.